Hey everyone, this is Once Bitten with another Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report. My Bretonnians versus Lizardmen. One of the first times I've played Lizardmen under 8th edition rules. So really interested to see how it works out. The Slann Mage Priest always scares me, and Saurus Warriors with Spears scares me. So yeah, kind of curious about this. This is actually part of this year's league, which is kind of like an extended tournament. So this is the first game I've played in it. So the results of this battle do actually mean something. So here on the right, he's got a couple units of Chameleon Skinks that he put over here to take out my Trebuchets. He's got some Skinks on the right. He's got Saurus Warriors, and despite how they're modeled, these guys have spears. He's got an Ancient Stegodon, his Temple Guard with the Slann, more Saurus Warriors, Salamander, and then another Salamander, and that really neat piece of terrain. That piece of terrain in the top middle, I'm going to do a video, I think, just on some really cool terrain pieces I bought recently. But these were custom made by a guy in Eastern Europe, and I think they're just absolutely beautiful, and very happy to have them. But that'll be another video. Here on this side, I put my Pegasus Knights here on the far left. Their job, I'm hoping, is to take care of those salamanders. I'm not sure if they'll be up to the task, but you know, the only way he knows to try it. Got my Questing Knights, Knights Errant with the Errantry Banner, big block of them, 12. I've got 12 Knights of the Realm. I've also got my Paladin Battle Standard Bearer, and he has Grommel Greathelm rerollable 2-up. And then I've got a level 4 caster with the Lore of Life. She's there in the second row. So then I have 35 Men-at-Arms, and they have a level 2 Damsel with the Lore of Beasts with them. Then I've got my infamous Bowman, my Monster Killing General, and 2 Tray Buckets, and the Pegasus Knights on the right. And I'm really hoping my Pegasus Knights can take care of those Chameleon Skinks in a way that I don't lose my Trebuchets too easily. So my plan when setting up was obviously to focus on my left flank. I'm hoping again that between the Pegasus Knights and maybe my Questing Knights briefly, I can take care of those Salamanders, focus my Knights in that first unit of Saurus Warriors with spears on the left, throw rocks at his Temple Guard, get them nice and weak so that when I finally have to get in a fight with them, I can just kill them all without worrying about their impossible to break stats. And then have my general kill his Stegodon, and then try to take that last unit of Saurus Warriors just out of the fight until the very end. So that's kind of what I was thinking. So just another view of the board. And there we go. Now, if you look on the right-hand side, those Chameleon Skinks were able to jump up really quickly, and that's a scree slope we're using, and he lost two of them each from dangerous terrain tests. But he wanted just to jump up there and you know, so he could shoot at my Trebuchets. Otherwise, you can see how he moved up just a little bit. He didn't want to get charged on my first turn, and you can see how he's going to be focusing on my Knights. So here's another picture here, and I'd never really thought much about Chameleon Skinks, but these guys are actually really good War Machine hunters. I mean, they jumped right up there. Another close-up shot. Not a whole lot going on. Don't know why all the pictures. So obviously he's come over here to spit some stuff at my guys. So with this, I was impressed with the Chameleon Skink's ability to take out a War Machine. They killed one outright and took half wounds off another one. Basically, with the movement and what are the penalties they had, they were hitting on 6s, but if they hit, it would automatically wound. And so out of 8 shots on the left, he rolled 2 6s, and for my right Trebuchet, out of 8 shots, he rolled 4 6s. So I thought that was pretty good rolling on his part. But yeah, so I lost the Trebuchet, but I still have another one if I can take care of those guys. Now over here, this was very demoralizing. His Salamander shot at my Questing Knights. I think he didn't kill many of them, but he killed a couple, and I think they had to take an auto break test. I think I'm okay. They're Leadership 8 with a Battle Standard Bearer nearby, and they failed it and ran off the board. So one thing I like about my list is that I don't rely on any one model or any one character or unit. But nevertheless, that's almost, I think, a 300-point unit that just ran off the board. So anyway, moving on. Brett turn 1. There in the middle, you can see I'm just moving up a little bit. I don't care if he charges my men-at-arms. I care very deeply that he doesn't get the charge with my knights. And I'm looking just to dual charge his Saurus warriors with my knights, blow past them, turn around, and see what can be done. Here on the left, my Pegasus Knights charge a Salamander. I'm looking at that thinking we should be okay. That token you see with the skull on it, the purple one at the top, that means that he has the Lore of Life spell that at the end of the magic phase, I take 2d6 strength 4 hits, but or strength 3 hits, whatever. But I'm going to dispel that during my magic phase. And then my general could just barely see that one unit of Chameleon Skinks, so he got the charge on them. Despite the Chameleon Skinks on the right having +2 toughness, I decided to go ahead and charge them with my Pegasus Knights. I actually had to take a couple dangerous terrain tests and put a wound on my champion in the process. And at the end of combat, this one really didn't go very well. I lost a knight and only put 2 wounds on his one of his salamanders, and so not overly happy with how that went. On the right-hand side, I can't really complain. Beat and ran down both of those units. His Saurus warriors are probably going to charge my Pegasus Knights, in which case I'll just flee. And I'm not overly worried about that. So Lizardman turn 2. This was actually really funny. He declared a charge with his Temple Guard unit and with the Saurus warriors that were on my far right, the ones that I was planning on just trying to keep out of the game as long as I could. The Temple Guard failed their rolls for distance, and the other guys made it. I think he needed an 11, and he made it. So they just zoomed across the table and got in with my my men-at-arms, and which is fine with me, except for I wish I would have taken my damsel out. But then again, I was afraid to take her out because I don't want her to be picked off by the Slann, so maybe that was just going to be inevitable. So over on the left-hand side, he gets a counter charge with his other salamanders, and at this point I know my Pegasus Knights are in real serious trouble. And my left flank is going to have these salamanders over there causing me all kinds of grief. Just a closer picture of the middle. I think the way it worked out for him is actually better, because that way his salamander can still cast his Slann can still cast any spell he wants. Once he's in combat, I don't know which spells he may or may not be able to cast. And over on the right, the unit that got in with my men-at-arms originally did charge my Pegasus Knights. I fled, and he redirected to my men-at-arms. So that's why my Pegasus Knights are over here. Here on the left, predictably, my Pegasus Knights got wiped out. I was able to take one of those guys down with me, but in another turn, he's just going to grow him back using the regrowth spell. And in this combat, now, the level 2 with Lore of Beasts, she has the prayer icon of Quinella. So these guys actually have the same ward save as my knights have, and I felt very fortunate. These Saurus warriors have spears, but since he charged me, he didn't get the extra rank, and so he only had 16 attacks coming at me, and out of 16 attacks, he only killed 4 guys. So I felt pretty fortunate there. One of the reasons, though, is because he directed a lot of his attacks at my damsel, and he killed her. So he actually did 4 wounds on me. And hate to see her go, but what you gonna do?